Welcome to the Chronic Health Collective. Your fresh start begins here. We've gathered powerful coaches and experts to help you reclaim your energy, heal from the inside out, and step into a life that feels vibrant, aligned, and deeply fulfilling. If you're ready for better health, stronger relationships, and more purpose, you're in the right place. Hi, I am Cable Jones, and my guest for today is Amanda Kress.
Hi.
Amanda, professional. She was born training horses. She grew up She grew up with a lot of abuse, and as an adult, she shines a light on abuse of all types. She wanted you to know more than a brief professional bio as an introduction. So let's begin with a page out of her book. She says, "Hello, I'm Amanda Kress. I'm not a professional in the traditional sense. There's a me-shaped hole in the world, and it has many hats. First and foremost, I'm a wife and mother, and before I was both, I was a horse girl. As much as this life I'm living has evolved, these three things about me are the foundation of every choice I make. You may ask why being a wife and mother and a horse girl are part of my introduction. I'm teaching riding lessons, and in teaching riding and horsemen, I teach consideration, self reflection, self correction, observation, planning, problem solving, follow through, and honesty with self. My life mission is to help horses with their human problem. I do this by telling relatable stories. A majority of my family and our life lessons, often bringing laughter and joy to the challenge of breaking down what people think they know about horses and how it can be a better and cohesive relationship where the horse gets to be itself rather than a version we try to make it so we feel comfortable. I have reinvented the wheel with horse training many times more times than I can count. As a working mother, I don't take jobs if my children aren't welcome, so my focus becomes safety with horses and their owners, safety with any horse, so my children could be part of the environment and not a risk injury, so I could parent and work at the same time. Eventually, I learned horses an inherent aren't the inherent issue in the human horse relationship. Humans, their habits, their thoughts, their relationships with themselves were the challenge. My goal every time I have the honor and privilege of working with a horse and their owner is to help them learn to exist in a sustainable manner where both have good habits with each other and make safe handling the rule rather than the exception." Wow, that was an amazing introduction, Amanda. How are you? How are you doing? Um,
Uh,
uh,
I'm I'm well, thank you.
awesome. And tell me how you initially. I mean, I said you were born training horses. When I think about training horses, I'm always like, well, how do you like? You tell the horse to. I mean, I know about training people, but when you start training a horse, tell me about that process.
Well, I wasn't born in the barn, but I got there as fast as I could, first of all.
Okay.
So, um, most people conventionally learn like a universal type way of handling horses in a barn where you take lessons, and that's your education. So you gear the horse up, groom them, gear them up, ride them, and then reverse the process. The problem is very few opportunities, unless you're actively learning to train a horse, are there for reading the horse and actively engaging in training. So if you're with a horse you're training, whether you intend to or not, they're picking up your cues, your consistencies, your inconsistencies, your habits, and then a healthy brained horse will hold you accountable for all of them. Some horses are so conditioned, they've got what's called learned helplessness. They no longer resist or, unless there's immense pain, they just go with the flow. Those are the horses everyone wants when they're looking for a husband horse or a children's horse. And I'll tell you, once you allow one of those horses to start making their own choices, they no longer behave like a robot. And so I've spent my whole life, I just wanted to be with horses. So I started fixing problem horses. And then I learned, instead of taking the money that I was getting paid for training, I was problem solving, calling the vet, calling the farrier, doing anything I could within my means to eliminate pain so I could safely handle the horse. And then through that process, I realized the horses really weren't the issue. And not that humans are a problem, we just don't have a good platform for allowing the horse to be healthy in a way that is beneficial to the horse, meaning they get to move, they get to have friends, they get to eat all the time. Their very system is designed to move and eat and be with a herd. And to make life easier for us, the humans, we put them in a box. We eliminate freedom, we feed them 2 times a day in general, and then we work them maybe an hour a day. And then all the videos you see on YouTube that are all the funny, quirky things that people really love, that's all awful, like insanity for the horse and indicative of a deep unhappiness. And people tend to see it as humorous. So with training a horse, we have to recognize what the problem is. And the problem is often us. Does that make sense? A
Yeah,
horse is fine at being a horse. They know what they're doing.
I see. So it's essentially a full lifestyle. You're stepping in to the horse. You would like to have the horse in your space as early as possible and as long as possible. All of a sudden, they can become. It's not like training the horse to become a human, but if they're in human space long enough, they can tend to do a lot more of what the human wants them to do. And it's not like even training them, they
Right.
become exactly, if you, without even saying to the horse, I want you to move over, just because they've been around you, like, hey, can you move this leg over here? They'll automatically do that because they've they know your mannerisms already.
Well, if you learn, like a lot of people will try to train a horse with treats and it works to some degree, but horses, their reward with each other is a relief of pressure. So if I put pressure on and the horse gives me answers that I'm not looking for, but they're giving me answers, I'll reward it with the relief of pressure. So if I put my hand on the rib cage and ask him to move over, I will keep the pressure there until the horse gives an answer, any answer, picks his head up, moves his foot. And then you start to open that line of communication that what I'm doing has meaning to you. And it starts to me with feeding and around gates. Horses love going through gates, and they'll often crowd them and try to squirt through them. So creating boundaries and safety for myself often creates, the horse knows exactly what to expect. When I go in a pen or when I give lessons, we just spend our time sending the horses away. It's amazing how uncomfortable people feel setting boundaries with an animal when we just want to love them and hug them. We set boundaries every day in human life. We don't want to do it with an animal we so desperately want to love us. And therein lies the problem. Women, mostly in general, women will get bit by their horse. It may be once every 6 months, but he's been telling her for 6 months he's going to bite her. And he finally follows through. And then she's shocked and her feelings are hurt, but she doesn't want to maintain the boundaries because it hurts her own feelings to have to do so. Does that make sense? And that's how we kind of ruin the natural beauty of horses. Our limitations kind of set them up to fail
Oh, wow.
because our intention and our follow through are what the horse is paying attention to.
This is getting deep fast. We can talk about the really deep sides of horses, and you're like, wait a minute, I just wanted the horse to be trained, and you're talking about
It's
this,
really
this
challenging.
emotional side
And
of
how do you
horses.
go back? Like traditional horsemanship, you get on, you walk, trot, canter, you jump, you run around barrels. But once you know the horse is unhappy, how do you go back to just blaming the horse for all of the problems? How do you go back and tell the owner, I used to fix it. I used to fix the horse, but it was a double edged sword. If you don't help the owner, the horse now has more tools to outsmart their owner. And you actually create more of a problem in general. So I don't know how not to get deep because the horses are perfect. They were made perfect. So what's the breakdown when they become dangerous, when they become problematic, when you can no longer engage in certain behaviors with them? Probably the people. And I love people. I'm not knocking humans. We just get so caught up in our habits. I have my job, I have my kids, I have my parents. I have an hour to give to my horse, and we want to ride. So we skip all the stuff that's really important to the horse, and we jump on and ride. And then we're shocked when the horse doesn't want to be caught anymore, or the horse pins its ears on approach, or the horse is aggressive at food time, right?
Mm.
And so I'm not a phenomenal rider. I can stay on, but I do all of my work on the ground in my daily interactions with my horse. And I don't have to, there's a thing I coined sweat equity. Most people will run a horse until they're tired and then ask them things. And I don't do that. Horses do need to move. They're made to move like 20 to 30 miles a day. We've denied that to them by putting them in captivity. So I encourage movement continually. And if I don't ride for 2 weeks, I don't come out to the barn like, I'm going to ride. I need this. You're going to give me what I need, horse. They get stiff, they get sore, they get out of shape, just like we do. And most people unrealistically expect the horse after months of standing to be the same horse they put away without continual um, handling. And that doesn't mean lunging. And a side note, children should not be riding horses the way they do. First of all, for their skeletal structure. Um, and if kids can't lead horses because it's dangerous, why are we putting them on their backs? They get all this extreme fun and they're doing fast barrel things and jumping, but they can't lead the horse. Why? Because it's dangerous to have a little kid lead a horse. Why? Because the horse wasn't trained or conditioned to be led by children. Does that make sense?
Ah, wow.
So
Just because of blind spots of the horse?
no, because the horse isn't conditioned or trained to listen to children or to be soft when being led. You know, you see professional horses, they have chains over their nose. It takes time. And like a later, I guess we'll talk about a drop in a bucket. Training should be a drop in a bucket, not a spoon in a faucet. You know, you'll still get water where you need it, maybe, but there will
Yeah.
be ramifications to either way you choose.
So you're saying down the line, children who are working with that horse, at some point the horse, uh, uh, it's not as not you don't have an adult around. You're trying to train a 1,200 pound, 1,400 pound machine with and things can go wrong related to
Well,
like
if you think about it, children rarely have authority over themselves, over their schedule, over when they go to bed, when they get to play, they go to school and are told what to do. And then we put them with dogs and horses or animals in general, and we're like, here, you get to be the boss. But we don't give them proper handling techniques or they don't necessarily practice in a way where the horse goes, oh, I consider you. Why do ponies have such a terrible reputation? Because they are trained by adults and then handed to children who want fun, right? And the horse is not respected and considered in that relationship. The horse is to provide fun and high test scores for the child. And then when the horse doesn't like starts calling the child out on the inconsistent behaviors, as horses do very naturally, an adult gets on and rides it hard and fixes the problem. But the problem was never the pony. And almost every horse person you talk to, they'll talk about how naughty ponies are. No, they're not. They just have a shorter wick for bad behavior.
okay, so
So children are not learning how to train, how to handle the horses and be present on the ground before they ride. So they ride. And then I guess where I'm going is when they grow up and they get a horse, they have no idea how to have a horse in their backyard and be an owner. In general, of course, there's always the exception.
yeah, so this you're kind of opening the can of worms.
I know. There's
Horse
so much.
horse therapy is different. Someone who's going to step in a horse space for some sort of therapy space. That we'll have to talk about this in the
Yeah.
next segment. This is definitely
I'm not sure
more
how
than
to
I
keep it
thought about.
simple because I'm
Yeah,
always
okay,
learning.
yeah,
You
no,
know, that
it makes totally sense what you're talking about. Total sense.
it's a
Makes
challenge.
yeah. Making training horses beneficial for everyone for long term rather than just maybe in the short moment a child could lead with an adult present very short period of time, but not for a long period of time unless that child has learned
Can we
extensive.
touch base on this? I'll make it real brief in the next segment. So I have a plan for this.
Yeah. Well, next segment we'll speak about that plan.
Okay.
Is your skin aging, dry, tired, and dull? Are you putting on more and more makeup to cover the fine lines and flaws? Now you don't have to. Coolness Skincare, developed by a middle-aged woman just like you. 2 years in formulating. Pearlescent face and eye serum cream with Schisandra berries and dragon's blood extract for your face, eye, and neck. And the vegan version, Deep Love Face Cream, featuring powerful blue tansy. This face cream is everything you are looking for. Feel your beauty. Visit coolness.com or scan the QR code for more information.
Everything we're made of contains light. From the sun that feeds our world to the energy that flows within us. With LifeWave X39, we've found a way to put that light to work. With X30, we achieved something remarkable in the field of wellness and science that others could not. By utilizing LifeWave's unique patented technology, X39 uses light to elevate GHK-Cu, a copper peptide known to support overall health and wellness. Unlike traditional light therapy, X39 uses the body's own infrared light to naturally increase vitality. By gently stimulating the skin with light, our non-invasive, non-transdermal X39 patches help you conquer your active lifestyle and pave a new way to vibrant health. Becoming a powerhouse is easier than you think. It all starts with your body and a little help from light. Place one LifeWave X39 patch on the body. Apply the patch to clean, dry skin in the morning. Patches may be worn for up to 12 hours before discarding. Keep well hydrated while using this product. Harness your natural potential. Reclaim youthful energy. Live long, live well, live young with LifeWave X39. Be the light. LifeWave.
Okay, you're back. Hi, Amanda. You were going to share a plan about helping horses and human interact
Yes.
better.
And so before I describe it, I just want to say we use the horse's instincts to our benefit. And we are not in any way trying to be horses, or they never think we are them, but we can use their inherent behaviors to our benefit while training. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So in case anybody, worries about that, I think the horses think I'm one of them. I don't. I would love to be so flawless. That being said, with kiddos, what I've done for years is horses are herd animals and they communicate with each other 95% body language, 5% touch. Do you know what humans are? At least now, we're like 95% touch, and maybe our cognitive immediate perception is like 5% for anyways. So Horses chase each other away, they listen to their small cues, and they groom each other, and they always come back and come together. So when I have children, I teach them to lunge. We rarely use any tack. We learn that the whip or whatever we're using is an extension of our energy. It is not there to hit the horse. You have this tiny little body. Why is the horse going to listen to an ineffectual tiny little human? Right? They can smell the lack of authority in themselves from a mile away. So we move the horses away and we learn to read their body language and when to push the horse and when to accept the release, before we ever get on their back. And when we do ride, we ride without a bit and bridle because it keeps you really honest. Most people learn to ride bit and bridle, saddle and bridle.
Yeah.
Most people learn to ride and they ride the saddle and
Yeah.
they really aren't aware of the horse's communication cues. They just get told kick the horse to walk, and eventually as you level up, you learn about contact and balance and what leg is hitting where. But if you learn that before you ever have the saddle to rely on, you have to be really honest about where you're at in your education. And the horses will show up happy every day because we're listening to them. We get what we're asking for. But if the horse in particular doesn't want to be caught, that's what we're addressing. Why doesn't the horse want to be caught by this person? And fortunately I have quite a bit of space, so we get our steps in.
Yeah.
And those children ride bareback. I also taught the emergency dismount. They get on and get off. When they finally get to get on the horse's back, they get on and get off. They're in control of their body and they learn they don't have to stay on the buck. The horse shouldn't be bucking in the first place. Because if we're listening to their cues and being respectful partners, and a partner in this sense is I have 51%. The horse has 49. I will take into account everything that horse has to offer. I get the deciding vote. And that is what I teach. You don't just get to be 51% and be a dictator. So the kiddos mount and dismount, and then they start walking the horse. They work on their cues and the horse's response. If you do all the groundwork correctly, where they've been clear and their follow through is impeccable, the horse will listen. Does that make sense? So you establish all good behavior on the ground before you ride, and you don't need a chain on their nose, and you don't need a big heavy saddle to tell the horse what to do. But it takes time and it takes work and it takes a considerable amount of self-reflection and self-questioning, which honestly, non-horse people are better at than horse people. A majority of my clientele will never own a horse. And they treat my horses nicer than horse people typically do.
I see most of your clients, people visit your place.
Yeah, they come and take lessons for the experience.
Oh.
And they become better horse people than a lot of horse people are. And it's not because anyone's awful or bad. It's just, if it's not broke, don't fix it. If what you're learning has mostly worked and you only get hurt sometimes and your horse is only kind of lame, why fix it? It's manageable, right? And there aren't a lot of options out there that don't require time. And most people, and especially today where we're conditioned for immediate response results, don't think to change their daily behaviors to have a better relationship and a safer relationship with their horse. And people usually only contact me if they're interested in horses but will never own one, or they've been hurt or scared by their horse. And then they'll start to do the work.
How do we turn the tide to better? It's like we think about our own health, but then it's like a horse's health. We can't view the horse as a pet.
It's just we've got to change the way. I think it may be too late to change most of the already existing horse people. Do you know there are 50 to 60 million horses in the world?
No, I didn't know that.
I was looking it up. And a majority of them are in the Americas. But I think we need to change the way people are entering into the equine industry. And change the way, it's so challenging with the way things are, to find land and to find a boarding facility. And a horse that was raised by humans and not in a herd cannot just go out into the herd and be healthy. Just like a homeschool kid versus being with public school kids, the rules are totally different. And it may take a while to get on the same page. You can really damage your horse by having it in a stall in arena riding and occasional turnout and putting it out 24/7 with the other horses. If they did not have the privilege of growing up that way, it is strange and awful for them. And I think some people forget that too. You have to recondition them to a life that feels better. Like if you grow up on junk food, healthy food, food that heals your body and nourishes your body, does not necessarily feel great initially.
True. True.
So
Wow.
we have to, one, be the change and find a way to reach the new people. But also, it's not a one size fits all. You can't cookie cutter everyone's personality into horse training. Horses all have different personalities, and so do people. And I haven't found a way to streamline it so it seems very attractive to people who already have something that's mostly working. And not everyone has trouble with their horses. Some people are fabulous. You can find fabulous horse people all over YouTube.
Some people, some one or two or 10 or 10, 50.
I find I enjoy a lot of videos. I tend to follow them all. They don't have to do it my way to be amazing,
Right.
you
Okay.
know. But sometimes the breed you pick really sets you up for success. Quarter horses are America's favorite horse for a reason, because they're really, in general, easy to train, easy to handle. They're bred for a job and they do it well. Friesians, not so many people love them once they get to know them.
Yeah.
They're a really intelligent breed, and in my experience, people see the beautiful black horse with a lot of hair and they want to love it and they want to spoil it and they want to braid its hair. And this horse is just like, I've got your number. They're made to pull wagons and push peasants aside, right? And so then we get them and we want to love them. And you'll watch videos. People get drugged. They walk with their head really high and
Yeah.
their chest is their presence. And that's not how it has to be. The horse doesn't have to behave and move that way, but it's just accepted as a breed standard in general.
Yeah. 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 Kind of reminds me recently the Kentucky Derby, and the last place horse won but the owner, the horse trainer was like, what's in the future for this horse? Is like, well, it depends on the horse, what the horse wants. And I thought that was a brilliant answer. Often we're determining what we do with horses, what we want, but often the horse, what does the horse want?
That is the best perception ever. My daughter and I did an outline, and we're in Alaska. We don't have a ton of exposure. Our experience is what's been made available to us. But the one thing we experience up here is people buy off the track thoroughbreds because they're cheap. And they're often heartbreaking. They are started before their growth plates are even fused. They're started at 1 and 2 years old, and they're racing. That causes damage. And then after the horse is done racing, if it doesn't have insurance and find an unconventional out to life, they get sold at auction or people find a way to buy them. And they're often heartbreaking. Now, not always, but they have lameness issues pretty much the entirety of their life. And people think they're saving money getting a thoroughbred. And it is often up, especially up here, because horses are expensive. It's really expensive to feed and keep them. You want a cheaper horse and you put their money into them and you just spend all your time at the vet. In finding their job, it's really wet up here. A horse that doesn't have excellent feet, well, it's really a challenge. So thoroughbreds wanting yeah.
Maybe the owner itself, the person who gets that thoroughbred, they might have some of their own heartbreaks, so they find themselves in around a lot of sad situation.
I think it's hard to find honest reviews on breeds because the horse, any community, whether it's gymnastics or dance or dog shows, everybody is proud of what they know. And very few people are like blatantly wrong, but they'll fight about it and they will cause harm and they will be vicious because your views are different. Or they're trying to protect their breed. And so they won't really be honest. And so, or your friend is a breeder and seller and their horses may not be great, but it's your friend and you get a certain amount of money for helping sell the horse. So you're going to sell the horse to a new person and there's not really a standard. And it's not that I want involvement from some big company. The FEI is not doing great with their involvement on international horses and the way they're treated. So, but there's not a standard in what's acceptable and what's not. And the education that's available to new horse people. It's a little better with the internet out there, but you have so many opposing opinions that it's really hard for a new horse person to really make a true, good, educated choice, I think.
Yeah, but what where would those horses go if they weren't going to these new?
Slaughter, probably.
Okay, so
But
maybe
so they go to slaughter or they spend their life moderately in pain because they have kissing spine or they have issues with
right,
their ribs or their joints. And then they hurt people because they're in pain. So people are in the hospital and now their life is completely ruined because they tried to do the horse experience and they bought a damaged horse. It just, the reality is they're dangerous. And we need to do everything we can to ensure soundness, mental stability, and good health. So the horses, when my horse behaves, I can, in a way I find unexpected, I can rely on the fact that I'm confident it's not pain and that they're not hungry. Horses get ulcers almost at the drop of the hat. They're designed to eat, and that's expensive if you feed them all the time. So all of this to say those horses would probably go to slaughter. And I'm not saying I approve of slaughter, but also why is it acceptable to sell a horse that is has troubles to a person who isn't prepared to deal with them and they're going to get hurt? Because
right,
the universal form of educating about horses is it's a flawed system, and a lot of people get hurt. And there was an Olympian, a young Olympian, I meant to look this up, I don't remember her age, but she was leading a horse with the rope around her neck and the horse took off and she got decapitated. An Olympian. That is a mistake that should not happen. It
yeah,
shouldn't happen. And she's supposedly the standard. She's in the Olympics. It's the best of the best. Why was that happening? Because there's not a standard safety practice for everything. We all get lazy and complacent. I found the one time you don't get complacent is when you have little children around. You tend to be safer because there's other lives immediately on the line.
yeah.
So there's that
So
rant's
as a
over. Give
horse
me a new
trainer,
soapbox.
as a horse trainer, you have a lot of risk you're managing. You see a lot of danger. You'd like to talk about the danger, but you also like to talk about the lovey-dovey fuzzy goodness of horses.
Horses are conditioned to be lovey-dovey. Really, they'd like it if you'd feed them, maybe groom them a little, and leave them alone. Everything we do is for us. If you really think about what the horse wants from us, it's very calm. Oh, I would like to bring up this point. Most people want excitement. When a horse is in his good nervous system, his parasympathetic nervous system, they are calm, they're relaxed, and people don't like that. If you have a calm, relaxing lesson, they find it boring. But if a lesson is really exciting and the horse has lost its mind and you overcame that, the horse didn't have a good time.
Okay.
So the horse you put away after any session is the horse you take out again. And most people, like if you look at jumpers or barrel racers, or even, I haven't experienced working equitation horses, but high intensity,
Yeah.
they are just always ready to go, ready to go. Very rarely calm, and often, okay, maybe not very rarely, but they're often like, the Malinois who focus on the ball. It's a working dog. That's what it's made to
Yeah.
do. When you allow a horse to only do its job, like barrel racing, they can almost become unhandleable. Like, I want to know who handles Olympic horses. This is the standard. We all want to ride in the Olympics. Is that horse really well trained if only the trainer and the groom and the rider can handle it? I think a well trained horse is one that can maintain confidence through handling of many people, but then you have to raise the education of the people who are handling the horse, truly.
I think you're really describing this chronically healthy. A horse has to be chronically healthy,
You would
with
think.
humans, chronically healthy, because you can be sort of healthy and sort of, and then you kind of see the soda happening in the horse. It's like, I don't know what's going on with this horse. Well, you've sort of done what you needed to do, but you sort of didn't know what you needed to do, and you forgot about the risks of said
Yeah.
horse in the process. There's so many injuries that happen with horses. There's so many injuries that happen with humans, and they're not
Yeah.
paying attention to what can happen to them themselves. Same
Right.
with what can happen in horse?
Kind of cause and effect. I did this, this happened. I did this repeatedly, and this happened a little bit. Why? Why was it okay? That self reflection is really important. Before we blame the horse, we really need to consider our thoughts, our actions. Did I come down to the barn in a bad mood? You know, consistently, where my horse is like pinning its ears when I come into its presence because I'm so unpeaceful. You know, and but sometimes you have horses that are learned helplessness and they don't call you out until they do one big explosion. You get hurt, the horse gets hurt, and then it's over and it doesn't happen again for a while.
Awesome. Well,
So
back after this, we'll do one other additional speak about this some more.
Why do 98% of beauty enthusiasts rave about coolness? It's all in the blend of ancient wisdom and modern science. Introducing Coolness, Pearlescent Face and Eye Serum Cream. This powerhouse combines the antioxidative power of schisandra berries, the glow of pearl powder, and the hydrating wonders of dragon's blood extract. It's like a time machine for your skin, making it radiant, firm, and oh so smooth. Inspired by ancient Chinese traditions and backed by modern nutritional science, this serum cream is perfect for dry, mature, and aging skin. It's time to unlock your inner glow with Coolness. Treat your skin to the best of both worlds today.
Hey, so we're back again. We've talked about so much. We've talked about the risks of horses. We've talked about the good things of training horses. There's one other area we haven't really touched on is I've worked with Amanda in her work training horses, but
Mhm.
she's had some horses where you were just having difficulty getting past a certain point. Tell me more about that.
Okay, so we're going to talk about Zeus.
Okay.
So Zeus is he's like an electric wire. He feels unsafe to touch. He's always communicating. His body is always tense. He's always biting at everyone. But what's interesting is he's biting at everyone. He doesn't make contact. It's communication. So if you hit him for biting, he's like, no, you're not getting it. And I've been working with this horse for 5 years. And until a year ago, there was a lot of progress we couldn't make. He was always ready to explode. And I should note, when you're training a horse or helping with a horse, you cannot do anything or should not do anything the owner is not capable of or comfortable doing when you're not there. So you have to train in a way that the owner can take the reins or the lead rope to their horse and do the same things. Zeus has made that basically impossible. His owner is long suffering and lovely, but she's also maybe nearing 60, and her horse is just constantly rearing and bolting forward and bucking and always extreme with his body. And until you help, like the vet eliminated lameness, we noticed there is some like stiffness in his hind end, but as far as conventional means, there is no help for him. I am the only help he gets. And so we work on relaxing. We do something called the Masterson method. We do release points along his bladder meridian, getting him to try to reach for a calm pause rather than a quick explosion. 5 years. And, if he could move more, he's in a conventional barn. If he could move more, it would be easier for him. But what we decided is he has a ton of pain. I cannot fix the pain. I am not a healer. I am not a veterinarian. I am just the trainer. So when you came in, he's like a block of melting ice. We did so much for him,
Yeah.
but he's still the same horse. Everything is just less. He's less intense. And we've really started rehabbing his hind end, and that has helped a lot. But he's still like, whatever training method I use, he still takes his focus back immediately and will try to eat the tree or nudge the other horses or anything we do. His brain is always gone and he's trying to bite everything. And so we're trying to help him eliminate whatever is in him that is making it hard for us to conventionally handle him.
Yeah.
Um, and his owner just wants to ride, and she's patient. 5 years of working this horse out, and she's closer than ever since we started helping. And you can talk about that.
Well, no, I was just thinking maybe he might have a case of a lot more warped bones than I ever picked up on. Uh, his history before he came to.
No, it's the lady who sold him was riding him all the time. Um, and so when Marianne went down to ride him, he did the things walk, trot, canter. And then he came up and sat in a barn, which is fine. She shows up almost every day after work and works him for the hour. She's a wonderful owner, but he didn't agree, and
What
he was going crazy.
if he's had way too many excessively heavy riders in
I
his
don't think he has. I've
no?
never ridden him.
I know.
Um,
So,
yeah.
in his past when he was younger.
He's young. She got him at 4. So we don't know exactly how he was started.
Okay, so it could still be his ancestors
Yeah,
that were
yeah,
really
for sure.
excessively heavy weight that could have caused excessive, and essentially he was born with in pain, high amounts of pain. And we haven't worked on that level to clear out his parents' pain. That
Yeah,
would probably be our next level of help to him. Uh,
yeah.
uh,
He worries a lot. He doesn't stay calm for long.
yeah. Okay. It does sound like his parents worried a lot, and his parents were, and the
Yeah,
grandparents, great great grand, all that worry came down to Zeus's space, and
right.
so if we can start working on helping his ancestors clear away their worry,
I
makes
would love to video a session of you working with him, because you don't know. It doesn't make sense until you see the horse responding to you telling me how to handle him. And just the way the negative or the painful or the whatever energy leaves his body, he's the best horse to show it what it is you do.
yeah. Horses. I work with trainers. I've worked with Amanda and other people, and they say, "Wow, my horse has never done this before. They've never relaxed this much out." It's really connecting in with the horse and discovering what they require in order for them to I'll say transform into a new creature, transform
Yeah.
into it's like a increased, very very intense. I mean, right before behind me, I have sound bowls,
Mhm.
sound gong. Sometimes people step into a sound space and they're like, "Wow, that was amazing! That really transformed my body and mind to move forward in life. A horse, same way. If you can step into their space and like, okay, what does this horse need right now in order to relax in a way that they've never been able to relax? And it might be a special
Mhm.
type of touch to their ears or to their mouth or their hindquarters or
Or holding their tail.
or holding their tail. And you didn't know. I was like, yeah, I want you to grab the tail, rotate it, pull it out, 3 pound pressure,
Mhm.
and often people they have never been taught this. I mean, there's a lot of training out there, but very few people know exactly. And because I'm a high level empath, so I can actually feel exactly what a man is doing to the horse that she's helping in the moment that she's doing it. So I know how we're causing the horse to change real time, which very few people are getting that type of insight into their horse. They can kind of feel a little bit, they know a little bit, they've learned a lot about their horse, but to feel immediately, okay, 1/2 pound pressure pulling on the tail, all of a sudden that's relaxing the neck muscles. That's an entirely different
Can I
process.
tell the story about Moon real quick?
Yeah.
So I was on the phone with Cable and one of my horses was laying down. And I was like, Cable, this is irregular for Moon to lay down this time of day. He goes, oh, he's choking. So I went down and Cable helped me remove the choke. But what happened was, and Cable had no idea we weren't on FaceTime. I put the phone on top of my horse's butt and saw that his sheath was hanging down. Well, boy horses get beams in the tip of their sheath. And if you don't get them out, the tip of their penis, it can cause huge problems with their urinary, their kidneys, everything, and the pain. So Cable's on the top of his butt, and I went down and I popped the beans out, and Cable goes, "You cannot do that without asking permission." He didn't know. I didn't say it out loud, but I got a whole 5-minute speech walking to the next horse how I need to ask for permission before I do such a thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for horses and for people, I would. We had a similar. Like, no way, you
I
can't
was
do it.
saving his life.
I know, but still,
I had to be quick when they suck it up there. There's nothing I can do.
I know horse people and humans. We have to talk about these specific insights. It makes a big difference in
Yeah.
everyone's life. It's definitely.
But if that doesn't say that you can feel and are aware of where the horse is at, that's a pretty good story to be
Yeah,
impactful.
and all your horses, they tend to all be males, even though by these names, I always think I'm speaking about a female horse. And
Hennessy, Midori, Toddy, and Arwen are my mares.
okay,
They all got boozy names.
and all of these other horses' names are males.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
It's hard to tell, and you just
Yeah, I should tell you when I ask.
you just barely maybe is the horse's
Maybe is here the one that just had the
name,
baby over at my friend Lisa's
and
house.
her baby, and you name the new baby's
So the
name
new baby is Impossible. The
possible.
one that died last year was possibly, because mom is maybe, daughter was perhaps, and so it's kind of a theme.
I don't know how you keep track of this.
They're
These
horses,
names.
Cable.
I
Is
know.
there anything better other than family? Horses.
I was like impossibly happy, but you're saying the new baby has the filly has some wonky legs.
Yeah, and hopefully we can get her moving. They may, so if we can get her moving and strengthen those tendons, they may straighten out on their own, as often happens. Or the vets will put little skis on the back of her feet to keep the way her feet are landing from damaging her heels, I guess,
Yeah.
and her fetlocks from dragging on the ground. So
Well,
hopefully it'll work out.
if you call her impossible, maybe it's impossible to walk. She on purpose has this condition. It's
If I
impossible.
had to say in her name, or it's impossible for her to fail. She'll
Okay.
be amazing.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, I did want to say one thing about the training horses. I just saw my note. I took a bunch of notes. I've addressed none of them.
Okay.
But so on the ground, when we're working with kids or anybody on the ground, we eliminate the horse's bite, buck, bolt, kick, or rear. So if you take away those big, loud communications, you have to learn to listen to the quieter ones, to honor what the horse is telling you before they feel like they have to yell. But if you eliminate the need for those loud communications on the ground, the horse doesn't engage in them when you're riding. Very rarely they explore their behaviors when you're riding, but it shouldn't become a habit because we problem solve why the horse was yelling. Like if a horse rears, I will run at them. I want to be shockingly awful. So the horse goes, huh, why did that happen? And then I will problem solve why the horse reared so we don't have to do that again. But if a horse rears and I back off, they can go, oh, that worked, because horses learn by association, right? So being in control of our thoughts and our body and how we interact with the horse is so vital to having a good, safe partner. And if you get to learn while the horse is loose, you cannot hurt the horse. You can't hurt the horse. If you have a rope halter on them and you're messing up and you're fumbling, I feel like the horse is more susceptible to human mishap. And it's kind of unfortunate. They'll be okay. We're all okay. But I feel the safest way for the horse to learn through our humanness and our learning to move our bodies and read the signs. If they're loose while we're learning, they're going to love the process and spending time with us more or look more forward to it and be more accepting. I've never had a foal or a horse that I brought up and trained be a bucker first when we first get on them, because we teach them everything they need to know separately. And when their backs, their growth plates and their spines are fused and they're full grown up, we add the weight, which is nothing. We lean over them when we're brushing, we drop the mounting block next to them for years. So you combine work ethic with weight on their back and they just, it's magic. They don't have to do the bucking bronco exciting stuff. And you don't have to risk injury when you set the horse up to succeed through your interactions with them on the ground.
Wow,
That's what I wanted to say.
that's amazing. That's so in depth, and your brain definitely tends to keep really well connected to all the horses that you're dealing with. Understand that level of process for a horse to learn, and these type of risky situations never need to
Well, and
happen.
now that I have you on in speed dial, when there's something I can't work through with the owner and horse, like I try first, but sometimes it's just easier to be like, cable can fix this,
Yeah,
or at least get the ball rolling to peeling back the layers of healing.
that is a plus in working with me. Very few people have me on speed dial to like, hey, tell me what's going on here. A horse trainer can work and work and work. I was like, I don't know what's going on with this horse. This horse needs to be put down. This is, and it's like it could be something quite simple. They just don't
Well,
have access to contacting me right away.
well, and the other day when I was like, I'm feeling really anxious, is it me? And you're like, no, it's Toddy. So now I know I need to address that horse when I get home because I'm not there, I'm working. And that's really handy. If my first $1 million is going to you, Cable.
Yeah.
And I
Hey,
won't even take the credit. I just want to work with the horses and help them be happy and well balanced and humans to be safer.
yeah.
Right. And I'm not skilled enough to do it all on my own. I think we really need a team and a village for overall health for ourselves and our animals. And that's why people like you and I think Andy as well are so vital to everything, every area of life, but horses in particular.
This has been an amazing conversation about horses and how to train them and how to be friends to them and how to keep them safe and happy and our lives also safe and happy. That's all. It's beneficial, and I'm so glad that you came on as a guest today. And um,
Thank you
thank-
so much for the invite.
if today's episode spoke to you, don't just watch. Take action. Book your free consult with one of our expert coaches at chroniccollective.com for personalized support. Subscribe to our monthly magazine for powerful tips from all 10 coaches at Chronic Coaches to elevate your health, mindset, and relationships. Join us live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time or catch past episodes anytime on E360 TV or youtube.com at Chronic Health Collective. Thanks for tuning in. Your transformation starts with one bold step. See you next week.